All right, so regardless of the results, your faith should be still in God anyway. But this election has definitely taught me a lot. But let me touch on the fact that sometimes when somebody wants something or they want something done, they will allow speculation. So let me get that. If you look at the scripture, it talks about when Joseph was sold, by his brothers, because they were jealous of him. And when the one brother had cut up his clothes, he was upset. So the other brothers had dipped it in blood because they were jealous of him. So they took it back to their father and they didn't say anything. They just, brought his coat back and they showed his father. So at that point, his father began to speculate, or what he thought was what happened to Joseph. He was like, oh, he must have been killed by a wild animal, whatever the case may be. And so that's how the enemy likes to work. The enemy likes to do things like that. And that's why God's really not to understand it. So we look even in this election, right? 11 days before, the election date, they come out with these emails and speculation, So when we know this world is in a social media thing. So as soon as something gets out, everybody puts it on Facebook, they do this or whatever the case may be. So the damage was already done. You got to look at it. I mean, definitely was still a Republican that is, that actually put that out, the head of the FBI, you know what I'm saying? Makes perfect sense, but God sees everything, so it doesn't matter. But then, I guess a couple days ago, which was on Sunday, it was like, oh, it was just speculation or whatever. But by then it was already damaged. It was already done. So I was talking to my mom, I gave the analogy. So let me put it in context so you can understand. So imagine you said something and somebody had told me and they said that you said something and I came over there and just slapped you in your face. And your tooth fell out and you had to go to the dentist or whatever the case may be. Then they came back a week later and they was like, oh, I was just playing. Like, look, they really didn't say that. And so I was like, you know what? I apologize for slapping you. The damage is already done though. Your mouth is already sore, whatever the case may be. So you got to understand. But regardless of the fact, Jesus is still Lord. And at the end of the day, I didn't vote for Trump. But I tell you what, I'm going to pray for him. There's a lot of things I don't agree with him. But I'm definitely going to pray for him because I believe, even with this, this can possibly save his soul, And I was looking at the situation with, my son, and why he cried, because he has a heart like I do, when you just don't want to see people hurt, you just don't want to see people sad. And my son's friend, Leslie, he was like, if Trump is elected, I got to go back home. So they're from Africa, his mom is over here working and going to school and things like that. And, my son just, that's where his mindset was at. My son cried. He was like, if Trump is elected, my, friend is going to go back to Africa. That's not going to be my friend anymore. I think the children are teaching us a lesson as far as foreigners, but I got a chance to talk to my son and minister to him. I told him, so regardless to the fact, all you got to do is just pray God's will. That's it, And what I understand is that God is raising up a new generation because a lot of people yesterday just didn't vote. Understandable. But you got to understand that the children are seeing the importance of voting, the importance of an educated vote. That's why God is raising up a different generation than the one that's behind my generation, because you have people that's like, oh, well, my vote ain't going to count. It's not going to matter anyway. It's the importance of a vote and what people don't understand, but they have to be educated. So, people just like, oh, well, are you upset? No, I'm actually fine. I was going to be fine whether Hillary got in. I was going to be fine whether Trump got in or whether somebody else. Because my trust is not in the justice system. Trust is not in the presidency. Though it's important, at the end of the day, like I said, Jesus is still Lord. He's still going to be my king. He's still the king of all kings. The Lord of all lords. Whatever people want to say, But I understand that, what I'm saying, there are some people that are sad. But like I said, what you can do is you can pray for him. Because like I said, I feel like this can definitely save his soul. I feel like what God is showing me. And like I said, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And I'm going to go to work just as if like Hillary won. So it don't even really matter though. You know what I'm saying? Because God is still in control. It says that, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And God said he'll order your steps, even how they decided to do or whatever the case may be. Because, looking at what they did as far as, with putting that speculation out 11 days before the thing, that shifted the electoral votes. But the thing is, what we understand is that the president really can't do too much when Congress and them don't allow them to do what they need to do. So what's done needs to be done. And so I'm gonna get ready to go to work though. But just want to give you encouragement. A lot of times, people don't want to hear, but and I don't want to pray for Trump. I don't like him. He my enemy. Well, that's why God said pray for your enemies. Some people are like, well, I just don't like him. He's not my enemy. Anybody cause or hatred in your life can be an enemy. But the thing is, we have to pray for him. I mean, we got to get back to what we need to do, and that's to put God back where he at. And when we do that, we'll be a lot better, because we're at that point right now that stuff is happening around this country, and it's getting worse. And God is saying he needs to be put back where he needs to be. Jesus needs to be put back in the schools. And stuff's going to get back to where it needs to be, regardless of who is president. That's what needs to happen. So your trust got to be in God, not in the system, not in the presidency. Love y'all. God bless.